Okay, we are live. Actually, let me turn on this light.
Hey guys, we are here, of course, for the Ron and Travis Fiesta Fridays. We're using our real name there just so new viewers don't get confused. But this is effectively a SoFi and SP 500 inclusion watch party. We're going to do more than that too. Of course, we'll talk markets and macro. This is a condensed version of our Bootleg Weekly show. So what that means is that we'll stick to probably just the main topic there, and then we'll have a Q&A more at the end as well. So, and Alexa is just going off. Hold on a second. Bad Alexa. All right. So S&P 500. This is, I guess, Tevis, let's start with that. Do you think that they get in today?
No.
How come? Why are you so bearish?
I don't. I'm sorry. Like, why do you hate SoFi? Why do you think it's going to go to zero?
Yeah.
This is why, Roy.
Yeah. Vertiv actually has deserved to get in a number of times. They are positioned very well too in the AI cooling market, growing well. They are odds-on favorites, and they probably should have been on already. I'm not familiar with this pharmaceutical company, but there's always a company that I've never heard of or have heard of just and barely know anything about it that gets in. SoFi has dropped quite a bit as far as the predictions. Some of that, I think a lot of that has frankly been tied to the price action, which they are eligible to get in. They could get in, otherwise it would be 0%. Affirm, it kind of is in that same bucket as well, but I think just a weaker entry. MicroStrategy is always on the list, but we never really know how many are going to actually be here. We will see. Probably the easiest way to see if they get in or not is just the stock price movement. Like if you see a big green candle moving upwards or a big red candle moving downwards as well, like either probably are going to happen once we know who is included or not. We do have some notifications from the S&P 500 on some rebalancing from other indices. And I should note, like it happened last year, when they don't rebalance at all, when they're saying, hey, we're not going to add names, they don't even bother announcing it. They just are like, yeah, we'll leave people in suspense. So S&P Global, get your act together. But yeah, we'll see by the price action. If you guys see it or notice it before we do, let us know. The timing on the announcement, Niche and a couple others are asking that too. It's usually at 5:30 Eastern time, but they're pretty much always late. And kind of like Tanner. So no, just but like really, like there is a set time. Don't pay too much attention to the time. I don't know, like they're using old antiquated like gerbils powering like their old like 486 Pentiums or something. I don't know how they even function as far as a technology company, but nevertheless, news will get out, and it's just like, even just in this case, watching price action, if they don't get in, do you think they're going to fall much?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 3 to 5% drop. Long term, doesn't really change anything. This is a company that will get in the S&P 500 at some point, but it may not be this time. I think probably they won't get in this time. I think there's a good chance that they do the next quarter or the quarter thereafter. But again, a lot that does depend on stock price action. They hit the minimum market cap requirement as per the record date already in February 13th. So, but that may not be the case, 3 months out. So we'll have to see. Yeah. Travis is in cartel country again. I don't know. Have you said where you're traveling, or do you want to say?
Yeah, I already posted on Twitter. I'm in Argentina.
Argentina, all right.
So I'm gonna be spending like 3 weeks down here.
Yeah.
And eventually I'll make my way back up. But right now,
opposite end of the earth from Canada. So
yeah.
Good season to get out of there. Nice summer days.
Yeah, dude, it was 26 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's very warm, probably in the 70s, I would say.
Yeah.
It was very warm. I went out with short sleeves today, and it was great. Yeah, it's great. Great country. I don't know. I'm gonna go out exploring tomorrow. It's gonna be great. I'll let you guys know. Exploring like
urban environment, or are you looking at like some natural history or historical stuff, or because there's a lot there?
Yes.
All of the above, or you don't want to say?
Yes.
Yeah, at some point I'd love to be able to make it over there, but has not happened yet. I've actually never been into South America yet. So,
Hmm.
oh no, that's not true. I've been in Venezuela briefly. So, if Roatan counts.
Hmm. Yeah, I will be wearing a Maradona t-shirt very shortly. Do you know what that is, Roy?
Soccer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't outside of like certain events like World Cup in big games, I don't. I mean, I don't have time, like honestly.
The
But
three Argentinian players that you need to know is Diego Armando Maradona, Carlos Tevez, and Messi.
yeah,
And then maybe Luis Suarez, you could make a case, but those three probably.
yeah. Roatan is Honduras. That's correct. I got that wrong. All right, I want to talk just a little bit more on SoFi too. Like, I have not really done much on this. I think that maybe I did see Tanner did a video. You might have interacted with this, but Noto had one of these lengthy replies that we see fairly rarely from him, and it's not often when you see all caps. But this is interesting. So there's always perma bears are just a silly folk that if they are bearish on a ticker or a name, there's some that are just bearish for select reasons. But like if something's bullish, they'll call it bullish. And there's people that are like perma bears or perma bulls on a name. Then no matter how negative or positive something is, they're always going to view it in whatever their worldview is towards that stock. And so this guy right here, Benuhard, said that him buying the dip was a negative indicator, which I don't know about you, but insider buys are never bearish in my mind. Sells can be bearish. Oftentimes they're not, but buys, yeah. But it means he buys when he's concerned about the stock getting too low and he needs to boost morale. I wish that there was a website out there, Tevis, that you could look at really easily to see insider buys and sells just to kind of keep track of that. But sadly, no such thing exists. But Anthony Noto responded here and said, "You are guessing. You don't know because you haven't asked." Love it. No need to guess. You can ask me. There's only one reason why I buy SoFi. It's because I think it's a great risk reward despite the concentration. I am a blue collar kid from Poughkeepsie. No matter how much money I have, 1 million is a ton of money. And I have 1,000 other ways to spend it or use it that would be meaningful and impactful for people and organizations that are near and dear to me and my family. By the way, a prepaid forward is not a sell. It's a way to finance liquidity. I can roll it forward each time before expiration if I want, many times to keep participating in the upside, not resulting in a sell and tax event. Look at the price point and so forth. So, that's this last bit. I have to read that. No need to guess at all. Researchable. It's all researchable. When you can't find the answers, just ask me. And going forward, I will correct your mistakes. This time, I will give you the benefit of the doubt. Who dares wins. So
the thing that pissed me off in that entire post, you guys are going to judge me for this, but was the fact that he spelled collar wrong. And that was like, I read it. I was like, I'm with you, man. I love it. Absolutely. Tear this guy to shreds, but please grammar check.
Not Kalur. Oh man, like funnily enough,
blue collar like makes sense because blue collar is like the collar, like the color of the actual shirt. So blue collar still works, but the thing is blue. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Not here. Yeah.
So bearish on SoFi, man. You're like grammar correcting the CEO. No, they're not getting in the S&P 500. Like, man. All right. So yeah, I do see a couple of you guys know the joke regarding Paper Panda, which is Travis's site here. So we should take a quick look at that too, just as far as insider buying, trading data. Let's pull that up here. Okay. And then Anthony Noto himself. No, that's Why am I missing Anthony Noto?
He should be at the top because his name starts with A.
Ah, there we go. Noto Anthony. There we go. All right. So Anthony Noto, apparently it's always bearish when he buys, but if you look at the actual buys and when he does, it's not always at the bottom, but oftentimes it marks close to the bottom. It doesn't mean, by the way, we rebound immediately. And one thing I noticed, and I actually caught this because your website really does make it easy. I put this in a video too. Look at the number of times in previous quarters when he does an insider buy and he just does one.
Yeah, he staggers them.
Literally none. So this doesn't guarantee insider buys, but I think it's highly likely we see another one. If you look at the timing, it's usually within a couple of weeks, so 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, I would not be surprised. I think it's incredibly likely he buys more. Not a thesis of like even enough to invest or trade in, because the market right now is shoot first and ask questions later type of mood. But yeah, this certainly felt like perhaps some support for the price action to help aid their case in getting the S&P 500. But like bottom line is there's only one reason to buy, and that's to make money. So
dude, I'm adding so much to that site every day. Like play around, things will like feel different and look different every single time you play around. And there's a lot more that I want to add. I just added short selling, like on a per stock basis. Oh, go back on it, Roy.
okay.
And so I don't know. Let's see if this is going to work. If you scroll up, so there, like I just started grouping into subtabs. So like ownership has all the things you've seen. Go to forecasts. So I just added, yeah, this is fine. And then look at the other tabs. And so I just added this. And I also added
That's cool.
forward estimates from analysts.
I like this too right here, just to show the strength of that. 15/18 quarters of beat, average surprise. Very nice.
Yeah, and then here I only added this because Steve looks at it. I want Steve to stop using Seeking Alpha for all this shit. So that's, and I'm going to chart this out and do earnings revisions is going to get added onto there. And there's a whole bunch of stuff too.
That's like asking me to stop using fiscal AI for all my stuff. So, which, by the way, link below. No, just kidding. I don't even have a link right now. I will, like, for those that are watching the video after the fact. Yeah, that's really cool. I like, how clean this is.
Go to the alt signals. It's the icon on the left. No, icon on the left. Oh well, there's short interest there too on SoFi. Go to short interest there on SoFi.
Okay.
So that was also recently added. You can see like how it's changed over time, and then you can see every report, like what it looks like below on the table. Scroll, yeah. But then yeah, go to alt signals. This is something that I'm like still working on.
When you sent this to me, by the way, to take a look at, I think you're out of tokens or something, and or maybe like the terrible. What's that?
Yeah, it'll load. Like there's things that like give me issues, and I work on them for like half the day, and then there's Google Trends too. So that's, I think, working now.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, this wasn't working before.
You can look up, like if you go to ticker lookup, or yeah, go to ticker lookup on Google Trends, and then I don't know, pick Hood or SoFi or whatever you want.
Palantir.
Okay. So it'll find keywords for that ticker, and then look them up on the.
Did Google. You generate this, or is this generated from like what's happening in social media?
No, I just told it to pick some of the most popular stocks out there. Click on the Palantir tag.
Okay.
I'll fix that. But sometimes it's slow because like if somebody hasn't gone to Palantir before, it has to like log. It has to actually hit the API log. Yeah, I'll work on that page, but go to Hood for me for a sec, because I think Hood was loading earlier today. Yeah, just okay. Well, it was cool. Actually, go to the homepage and just search Hood stock, because you can also see it in sentiment, I think. I want to see if it's an issue related to.
Let me close this down I'll just refresh the. Oh, there it is. It's going now. All right, SoFi.
Go to Hood. Yeah, and go to Signals. Yeah, so if you scroll down, so that was the chart that was supposed to show up.
All right, very cool.
So you have Robinhood app, Robinhood sign up, blah blah blah, and then you have the domain popularity. I'm also going to try to pull Sensor Tower or SEMrush or something like this.
Yeah,
but we'll see. The chat is saying SoFi just dumped because I think the S&P news might have been out, Roy.
All right. Let's see. Well, I'm not seeing it there, but that doesn't mean anything. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not. Well, I don't know. It looks like it's recovering, so I don't know if that was. It's down 0.32%, so it did have an initial big wick down. Let's see if, like, the bigger thing is Vertiv. If Vertiv is in, then we know that the news is out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vertiv looks like it got in. So I would guess SoFi. Yeah. Let's see if I can find at least a post on X. Sometimes it's released on the Bloomberg terminal too. Like the SP500 website's a joke. So let's pull this up here. Yeah, Vertiv should definitely be in. So, yep, has joined the S&P 500. Let me see if I can. Now, the other problem with this is sometimes you'll see a massive spike up, and it's not real. Like we saw that with Robinhood before.
Wow. Vertiv, Lumentum Holdings, Coherent, and EchoStar set to join S&P 500.
All right. Well, I guess next time then. Now, the one thing that's a silver lining for SoFi is, as far as I could tell, there was never been a company before that had been entered the market through a SPAC, has been de-SPAC successfully, and then grew to the point where they entered the S&P 500. Except there is one name. And do you know what that name is, Tevis? Vertiv. Vertiv actually entered the market through a SPAC. And so that argument, which a lot of people use against SoFi ever getting in, is gone. Vertiv is in. Vertiv successfully did the same thing as SoFi, entered in through a SPAC, transitioned, de-SPAC successfully, and here they are in the S&P 500. So that's going to happen at some point for SoFi as well. Now, obviously, this doesn't really change anything as far as the bull thesis or the bear thesis. We are down 1.22%. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it fall a little bit more, but it's not like it ran really hard into the announcement. Like some names, when the market, looking at Polymarket, it was like what? Well, now it says it's still 9% odds. You can still bet on this thing. That can't be right. Look at this.
Dude, there's so many things in Polymarket. Yeah, just bet on it. Get some free money.
Yeah, I don't have a Polymarket account. Otherwise, like, that's wild. Yeah, Vertiv is 98%. How are these other names? Okay. Well, yeah, not financial advice, but that seems like free money. Maybe there's something I'm not understanding. But okay, weird. I'll have to keep that in mind for next time, Tevis.
I mean, I guess. Wow. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like, if I had access to Polymarket, I would stop everything that I'm doing on Paper Panda and just work on a Polymarket arbitrage bot, because the amount of times I've like manually seen mispricings on clear cut things is wild.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see the reason why. It's through March 31st. Is the prediction. So there are times when a company, through an acquisition, through some other means as well, is removed from the index, and then another name is added. So that's the factor I'm missing. 8% is still high. It's now at 4%. So it should be like 2 or 1%. But yeah, SoFi is still eligible for the S&P 500, but it's barely just, according to the market cap. That could be something that keeps them from getting in, for a little bit longer if we continue to be in this type of market environment where really it feels like a lot of what's happening with SoFi is related to, I mean, like two things: uncertainty in the market, and in particular, like a rotation to safer names away from high growth names. SoFi feels pretty safe anyway. And then the private equity stuff, the Blue Owl Capital, Fortress, people having concerns with that, and that's that fuels a low platform business. It fuels growth for SoFi. It's all capital light revenue. It's a great source of revenue, but if if Blue Owl is severely impacted, like the worst case scenario for SoFi is they just don't do as much volume on the loan platform business as I was expecting, and some others, at least short term. But it's not like if their loans go belly up or if Blue Owl goes belly up that SoFi is in danger. They're not. So no exposure. So what have you been buying this week? Anything?
Did I buy anything this week? I don't even know. I don't think so. I don't think so. Let me even see what even went on this week. Oh, dude, Wix. We have to talk about Wix. Holy man, I feel like I missed the boat. And like, not even that, because like we were talking about it. I think the actual bottom was the stock tank episode that we did, because it was in the 60s, and this thing jumped like 40% or something crazy on their earnings. Like,
yeah, I think. You remind me of when we had that episode, because I think it was it not in January?
Whenever the
Or early
bottom,
February?
that's when we had that episode, which I guess doesn't help you, but let me go back and look.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit before the bottom, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff on Wix recently. It's not all related to buybacks. They of course had earnings, which we talked about last week. We even messaged each other and we're like, should we get in this? Like, the problem is I'm out of money, so
February
anything that I bought, I have to sell something else, and I only have so many kidneys. So yeah,
We bought it. We did it on February 16th. So whatever the stock price was at back then. But
so February 16th, you said?
Yeah. I mean, here, I'll just share my screen.
Yeah, it's pretty close. It was at 68, 69. Yeah. And the bottom was 62. So wasn't long off the bottom. Now, so there's a couple of things going on. One is the absolute immense growth of base 44, which when Manuel pitched Wix, like, that really is a thesis. They do have a real underlying business that generates real revenue, but is likely going to be a business that over time does come into issue. It is impacted by what's happening with AI, vibe coding, and so forth. I think the market gets that right. But what they're missing is base 44 and the tremendous growth. Very smart acquisition that they have had for Wix. And then the buybacks. Now, the buyback was already announced previously that they were going to buy out 50% of their market cap. Now they've done a couple of interesting things. So one right here, like, well, you can. I guess I'll let you. Well, you just took a drink. I'll read it then. Manuel noted Wix just announced it will buy back up to 1.75 billion worth of shares from existing shareholders via a tender offer that expires April 1st. So, in other words, this wasn't just, we're going to buy back a lot of our stock over 2 years, which is still a ridiculous time frame for the amount of buyback that they're doing, but they moved it up to April 1st. So 35% of the company being bought back in a short amount of time is crazy. So yeah, pretty strong signal there. In addition to strong earnings, in addition to base 44 doing very, very well. And the other factor too is a lot of the software names, like I haven't looked at too many today because I'm like focusing on the dissertation stuff, but yesterday, really red market, really red day, and actually much of this week, other than one really good green day. But software names like CRM, not the best company of the world out there by any means. They're up like 4 or 5%. So, how did Light get in? Well, let's see. That's Lumentum. I don't actually know the company.
Lumentum Technologies.
All right, let's see here. Let's look at the EPS real quick.
Information technology.
Yeah, it looks like they're profitable.
Yeah, so we did not get in, for those who are wondering.
Yeah. Yeah, it does look like they're profitable. But yeah, a lot of times the SP 500 will induct companies that are just barely eligible. Is one of the reasons why the market cap of SoFi wasn't the biggest still until like they actually dipped underneath, because it would have required two nevers occurring in a single quarter, which was really unlikely for a fairly conservative company like the S&P 500. The first never has been crossed now with Avertive again, with a company that entered the market through a SPAC, now entering the SP 500 for the first time. So great precedent for SoFi. And then the second was, I don't believe, and double check this, there's a record date that happens 5 weeks earlier than the announcement. And that's what actually technically matters the per the S&P 500 of whether or not a company is eligible. But there has literally never been a time when a company that hit the record date but fell by the time of the announcements was inducted to the S&P 500. Will there be a first time at some point? Yes. But yeah, for SoFi, it's like it's so close and it's barely there. Now, there are three companies that did get inducted last year that were barely eligible for the market cap. But yeah. So next
Chris,
slide.
Noto might struggle to even hit the 25 tranche. They already got that, Chris.
Yeah.
So they already maintained it for a period of time. And I think they got it as early as like October or November was like when it was formalized, because they needed to hold it for like 90 days waited. So they're already good on 25. The 35 they're not going to get, and the 45 they're sure as shit not going to get now.
Yeah. Can you throw up Reckless Finance's comment at 525?
Man,
He says he was hedged, so he got a $500 payout from Hood Predictions. Like, that's honestly one of the more legitimate usage of the predictions market, is to use it as a hedge, or as a direct bet on something, instead of, a lot of times people play earnings or play inclusion, but you have to get right in two different ways. You have to get right that A, they get in, or A, they beat earnings by whatever amount, and B, the stock price action as well, which doesn't always follow the news. So yeah, I have used predictions markets occasionally, not very much and not large amounts, just as a hedge in case something that's in my portfolio, like something really negative, hits, and all of a sudden, I'm hedged. And actually, one thing that I'm thinking about doing this for, let me see if I can pull up call sheets. The Clarity Act. Let me see here.
you were reading quite a bit about that over the last couple of days.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so I was at the Robinhood event, and like one of the best things about being there is just like the networking and being able to pick people's brains.
Yeah.
And they're not all Robinhood people, and even among Robinhood people, there's differing opinions. Like there's no emerging consensus for the Clarity Act. Let me just pull up Polymarkets because I know where that is. Clarity Act. Okay. Here, this seems wrong to me. And maybe like you can push back on me, Tevis. But I was thinking like, okay, Clarity Act right now has run into several different roadblocks. And the biggest, of course, is the banks pushing back. We saw Jamie Dimon, I believe it was earlier this week, basically say, and again, throughout the case there, which there's a couple of things that banks are pushing back on the Clarity Act with. But the biggest is tied to offering yield on stablecoin. There is a loophole right now under the Genius Act that, yes, these other companies cannot offer yield directly through their stablecoin, but they can do it through a wallet. They can do it like for PayPal, for instance, through PayUSD, because Paxos is actually the issuer. So PayPal can actually offer the yield for that. But it's not, I wouldn't say a gray area, but it is a loophole. Clarity Act is trying to move a number of things forward for crypto, but this is the biggest sticking point. Banks are like, no, if you let this continue, all of a sudden no one will deposit in banks, and then the entire U.S. financial institution will collapse, and everybody will be homeless and cavemen, and we're all going to die, and everything's going to zero. Because, I mean, Jamie Dimon, like I don't know, he's like always perpetually bearish, and of course, he is trying to paint things in the worst possible light just to try to prevent this from happening. But Brian Armstrong seemed to kind of indicate, CEO of Coinbase, that there's a high likelihood of this actually happening versus what he was expecting earlier. but people are all over the place on this. And just asking people there, from analysts to people that work in Robinhood to just regular investors as well, and just people that know crypto very well too, their opinion on the Clarity Act, it feels more like a coin flip at best at this point. Now, 2026 is a long year. Kalshi's market actually has a number of different checkpoints. You can look at this on Robinhood too. I just couldn't find it quickly, where it's like by such and such a date, even those seem high. So anyway, if this is not signed into law, do you have any thoughts as far as how this would impact, for instance, BMNR?
I mean, BMNR gets tossed around like a fucking ping pong ball every single day by the market, bro. It's like down another 7% today. It's just ridiculous. I think like you saw the reaction in January, what happened when Clarity was pushed back, when it was a done deal, good to go. And then they got rug pulled by the banks. And I think the reaction is going to be very similar in April, if in fact it does happen again. I think there's more proponents right now wanting to get this through the line. To me, it just goes to show how pervasive the lobbying is from traditional financial institutions. Like, if the president is sitting down with Brian Armstrong, and the president is saying like, hey, these banks can't be allowed to, do this and do that. And then all the regulators are saying, like, all the politicians, the Congress people, the ones who vote this in, are saying that too. It's just like, all right, why is it still the way that it is? Like, you guys make the rules. And it just goes to show that there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that doesn't yield the intended effect that you think you're going to get with just public information. So, and look, if I was Jamie Dimon, of course, I would perpetually bearish on the market as well. Like, if I don't want people to invest it, if I don't want people to sort of take their financial future into their own hands and be dependent on me as an institution, of course, I'd be perpetually bearish.
Yeah. And more than that, like, you look at the yields that they actually offer. Now, SoFi actually gives a very attractive yield. There's a lot of other smaller banks, e-banks, neobanks that offer similar as well. But the big old dinosaur banks, and JP Morgan Chase is more agile than a lot of those, but they offer like almost nothing. Like, I'm sadly still a customer of Wells Fargo just because we do need a secondary bank for a couple of things, but I hate them so much. And I don't have much money there at all anymore. It's actually mostly just my wife's money that she uses for a little business thing. But yeah, just fee after fee, no interest, terrible customer service, really poor technology and website. And it's like, so they benefit immensely by creating this dynamic where it's like, no, nobody else can offer yield, period, except for us. We're going to give you terrible, terrible yield. And so they do not want to see these stablecoins succeed. They don't want to see yield happen. Now, there is of course, BMNR is going to get hit substantially if this Clarity Act does not get passed. Well, I think it will initially, and then what we'll have to see, because it kind of reverts then just to where the Genius Act currently is, and there's a loophole. That loophole still exists. But if Clarity Act fails, I think then the banks go after trying to seal that loophole, and we'll have to see how successful that is. If that happens, a lot of this activity is going to really slow down. Stablecoins still have a use case, even if they can't offer yield. And there are some that will be able to pretty much no matter what, that they can't seal the regulatory loophole on. But this is a lot related to what's happening with Ethereum. So we look at this 313 billion in stablecoin market, 160 of that, so over half, actually runs through Ethereum. And so if this ends up not passing, banks push back against it, this is part of, not the whole thing, but a part of the bull case of Ethereum and thus BMNR. And so that's why I'm looking at that predictions market here. And I'm like, I haven't done a big hedge yet. And I have not used Polymarket. I actually would use Kalshi. Probably actually just use Robinhood because it's in-app and it's just easier. But I have been thinking about, and that's why I was doing some research on maybe taking the no side of this. And if it goes to zero, great. Because if the Clarity Act is passed, and I don't think it'll be passed with closing the loophole and saying you guys can't offer yield at all, especially with Donald Trump's stance very clearly evident there. I think he would veto it, actually, if it was signed into law. It wouldn't be signed into law by him. He would veto it, send it back, and there would be no way it passes at that point. But so if it passes, then they're able to offer yield, whatever that looks like. Very bullish for Ethereum, very bullish for BMNR, very bullish for pretty much anything that's exposed to crypto. So what do you think about this as a hedge? Am I crazy for thinking that, Tevis?
I don't think you're crazy. You have a long exposure on crypto, so this is one way to play the other side of it. I mean, you could also just buy, puts on BMNU or something, and you could equally play it that way. But sure, I mean,
no, thank you.
no. But if you're thinking about like, oh, do I want to do a poly market where the money is going to go to zero if it's like a no? It's still going to go to zero if you do puts on BMNU and they get in. So it becomes a binary thing of what gives you the highest ROI, and one thing's levered and the other one's not.
Yeah. Now, what's really interesting about this, though, not all stablecoins would be impacted, even if the banks are able to close a loophole. And there's two in particular, Tevis, one that I'm sure you're very familiar with, and the other maybe not as much, that are really differentiated that could actually benefit meaningfully if banks, and hopefully this doesn't happen, but if banks end up closing this loophole. Can you guess either of the two?
Is it SoFi's one of them?
Yep, SoFi USD, yeah. Yeah, unlike, they are a bank and they're offering crypto natively. They're not backed by 3-month treasury. Instead, they're actually able to offer that yield directly. And there's nothing that would change whether, honestly, if Clarity Act passes, great. If the loophole is sealed, I don't think that's great, but probably really, really good, even better for SoFi USD, just because they would be one of very few stablecoins that could actually offer yield here in the United States. The other, and of course, we saw some news this week with MasterCard incorporating that in their payments network. There's a lot of other cryptocurrencies on there too, so don't think it's like, oh, this is a monopoly. It's not. The other is, what's that?
Can I try to guess?
Yeah.
Is it Circle?
It's not Circle, no.
PayPal?
Not PayPal either. Yeah, the PayPal is and Circle both benefit from the loophole of, well, we're not offering yield, it's the wallet, or we're not offering yield, it's our partners, Paxos or Circle, and so in PayPal's case, Paxos is the issuer, and so PayPal can offer yield. That loophole might go away, which would actually be pretty bearish for Circle. Wouldn't kill the use case. They could still offer yield internationally. They just couldn't offer it here in the United States. And so there would be some impact. Although most stablecoin holders are actually outside of the United States. So it's not like it's going to kill everything, but it will hurt. Any other guesses?
No, go for it.
It is a recent investment of mine.
Is it Figure?
Figure, yeah. Do you know about the stablecoin?
No, I don't.
Okay, so they have one called Yields. YLDS.
I don't know about their stablecoin, Ron. It's because you need to do a freaking Stock Tank episode already.
Yeah. Matthew Johnson got it right. Yeah, good guess there. And we will do questions here in just a minute too. So their stablecoin was the first SEC registered stablecoin, and it's treated mostly like a security. It's actually backed in the yield structure is backed towards the real world assets that they have on chain that are giving yield. And so the stablecoin right there, it's not backed by 3-month treasuries like all the others as well. So it's differentiated. It is a kind of a first mover in the space, and they use it all across their ecosystem for a lot of different things, including like when they did their blockchain offering. They were showing off their provenance blockchain specifically and mostly, but also the move over from the exchange that everybody's familiar to with the blockchain offering with the on-chain private equity network was actually facilitated through yields, and it can also go the other direction as well. But the instant settlement stuff, it just, stable coins will still have a place no matter what happens with Clarity. But if the banks seal the loophole, there's a few others as well. But in the United States, there are like two that are very, very clear in my mind that will benefit, and that's yields, because real world asset yield is what that's about. And that also means, by the way, is 3-month treasuries have more and more buying pressure as stablecoins do ramp, and maybe the yield goes down some. Yields might actually start offering a higher yield. Right now, it's lower than a lot of the other stablecoins, but not by a huge amount. And then, SoFi, like they're both companies. Like That's the thing with both of these companies, Tevis. It gets me pretty excited, especially for Figure, but also for SoFi. SoFi, of course, had to be removed from their crypto as to be able to get that national banking license when SEC was in the stop everything crypto mode. And so they kind of lost in-house that crypto competence. Now, they still have some of that with some of their existing leaders, but they've had to hire a lot of new people. They have to build that back up, and it takes time. But between them and also Figure, like there are very few companies that understand the needs and handle traditional finance needs very well, and also understand crypto and handle it with excellence. And both are positioned really well for that. So short term, the market hates both of these companies, but long term, man, I like it.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add on the Figure thing other than you need to do a stock tank. One thing that I think is interesting that I want to get your reaction to is a certain stock of yours just got removed from the S&P 100. Can you guess that stock, Roy?
Former stock, PayPal, HIMS, PayPal. Okay, yeah,
He had HIMS in the S&P 100.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think it's in there, but yeah, was that because of the market cap, or did they not say? I guess they usually don't say, do they?
I don't know. It got removed along with Target and along with MetLife. And what got added in the S&P 100 was Micron, Lam Research, and Applied Materials, AMAT.
Market cap for sure. Interesting. Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah, again, I wish SoFi Bulls well, but
PayPal Bulls.
Yeah, PayPal Bulls. Yeah, SoFi Bulls. I am one. Yeah, PayPal Bulls. I just need more of a thesis than buybacks, valuation, and let's cut costs and maybe get bought out. You can make money on that, especially if it works out, but it's not how I think of things. I look at moving from like almost no growth to growth, instead the opposite's actually happening with them. So I'm not aping into PayPal anytime soon, as somebody asked recently. Yeah. In case you guys missed it earlier, the SoFi did not get in the S&P 500. The prediction markets were right on that and Vertiv, and of course a couple other names got added as well. You ready for Q&A period?
Yes, I am ready for Q&A period. Just like this. I
see a lot of good questions, actually.
Let's get started.
I shouldn't say actually. It sounds like that's not normally the case.
Let's get started. What happened? Did SoFi get in? No, they did not get in. Are they even eligible? Barely eligible, but we'll see what happens when the market opens on Monday.
Well, he said SoFi, so no, I know it's a typo.
All right, am I traveling alone? Yes, I sure am.
You think you're traveling alone?
Yes. When can we start buying shares of Paper Panda? When I start issuing them, you can start buying them. But still a while away from that. How many of you guys knew SoFi wouldn't get in? I mean, it was like an ultra long shot. So yeah, everybody pretty much knew they wouldn't get in.
Like even in January, I thought the odds were, higher, but I didn't think that the baseline assumption should be that they'd get in. And that's when the stock was meaningfully higher.
Yeah.
But I mean, this year, I think it's incredibly likely they get it. Now, if all this market chaos continues, who knows? It could kick the can further down the road, but yeah, they deserve to get in.
Yeah, maybe we just knock this one off. 95% chance plus I would give them that they get in this year, whether it's June, September, or December, or anywhere in between.
Yeah. And Bob, your last comment there, that people were commenting on your ex disagreeing with you about SoFi getting in. No matter the ticker, but especially those that there's a lot of retail. A lot of retail are just new to the markets or don't have that much brain space, time, attention, focus, whatever. They don't understand. Well, I guess to be fair, some of us don't some of the moves that SP 500 does are unexplainable, but they also don't understand like even things like market caps. They don't understand, that it would have required a lot to be able to get in. Now with Vertiv getting in, it's more likely. But
Yeah, exactly. But I think we're fairly aligned in saying 2026 they're gonna get in for sure. Probably June, if I had to guess, but we'll see what they trade at.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking is in June.
I need to put sports betting predictions on the site. And dude, honestly, there's something to be said about focus because you can very easily lose the plot, especially with Claude that can build anything, and it gets to be a freaking mess on keeping everything organized and clean. So, no, but not against doing something separate for sports betting. Roy, what did Ader sell off today? Because it's volatile and tiny.
Yeah, I mean, like Nvidia sold off close to 3%. I don't know what it closed at. Let's check that real quick. Air fell 12%. It's up 2%, but I wouldn't count the after hours too much, especially on a stock like Air. Yeah, Nvidia fell 3%. Really, it's everything in that whole space got hit today with the Oracle stuff, and I should probably pull that up. We might talk more about that, or I might talk more about that with Steve tonight. I plan to anyway.
Or now.
Yeah, or now.
The layoff stuff, you mean?
No, it's there was two things that happened with Oracle. Actually, I should go to let me go to Chris's post real quick. Sorry.
Oracle, wasn't there rumors that they were going to lay off like 20,000 people or something crazy?
No. Okay, so there are rumors of layoffs, yes, but we'll have to see what happens there. I've not seen like the tangibility of that. So Oracle and OpenAI ended plans to expand their Texas data center site. So essentially, like Oracle and then a little bit Amazon, but way lesser extent for Amazon. These were the two that seemed like they overspent to the point where it's like, okay, where is this additional capital going to come from to be able to fund the building of this capex? And so this is not them announcing and saying, hey, we're expanding. This is the opposite. This is the equivalent of doing an amputation or partial amputation. So Chris is kind of right, and I disagree with him a little bit here too. At the end of the day, it's not demand that dictates spend; it's access to cash flow and credit. There's a lot of truth to that, and Oracle was indeed running out of both. And so, in essence, the way I've taken this is Chris is like, this is good news for Oracle, and I said it's the equivalent for an amputation of an affected thumb. So it's bullish in the sense that you didn't die, but like you don't like tell your friends, oh, I have exciting news, like I lost my thumb. It's like, no, it's bearish because Oracle bit off way more than they could chew. So anyway, that was announced, and then right after that was by Bloomberg. And Bloomberg, by the way, like I don't know if you've seen like some of these headlines with
Reuters.
Like, what's that?
Reuters and Business Intelligence, that they're always freaking wrong.
Bloomberg seems like they're going that direction too. So like yesterday, we'll go back to the Oracle thing in just a second. Yesterday, they said, okay, it looks like that the United States' government is considering, which considering can mean anything, right?
Political thing?
Yeah. That every single cell for AMD and NVIDIA overseas would have to be scrutinized by the United States government. And there was a lot of different thoughts on what the criteria might look like, and it might depend on like the size and the country and everything too. But it's like, dude, this is not capitalism. And I know that maybe there's an argument to be made for national security interests of certain select top line chips, like what has been done in China. But like doing this for everything international for these companies is like, that seems like a reach. And if that's being considered, they should not do that. The United States Department of Commerce actually responded to this because they're, everything tanked on that news, especially NVIDIA. It's just red headline after red headline. And today's Oracle thing was bearish for NVIDIA. It hit Nebius too, hit Iron, hit Cypher, and CoreWeave. But U.S. Department of Commerce is basically like, no, we're not considering going back to the Biden era, what basically happened where they just would do blanket things like this. So we'll have to see what it actually looks like. But yeah, certainly not bullish. So anyway, then Evan had posted this, and there was an update that I thought was good too. That right after this, there was a report from CNBC that said, nope, existing plans for Oracle's data center project with OpenAI in Texas remain on track. And this guy right here, who does all sorts of different posts, he's a good follow too for breaking news. Both Evan and ER said that they're not denying Bloomberg's report, but it's just saying like, hey, this is a rumor at this point. There's nothing concrete here yet. But I think Chris is right. I think the original rumor is actually right here, even though Bloomberg has gotten a lot of things wrong recently. Just because Oracle, like, they don't have the financial structure unless they really want to take on a lot of debt or give away equity to somebody like NVIDIA, how they're actually going to be able to build these things. So yeah, NVIDIA fell 3%. That's why, going back to the air question, when you see NVIDIA falling like that, it's not surprising to see high beta names, even if they're not in the space, fall. But everything in that space was falling. Air got hit as well. And if there is a meaningful slowdown in what's happening with the AI arms race, that's not like bearish air at all, but it's not as bullish, I would say. I don't think that we're going to see a meaningful slowdown. And this hit Nebius too. Like, do you think that this is really impactful and negative for Nebius, or how is Nebius differentiated?
I mean, I don't think so, man. Because like, from my limited understanding, there's varying degrees of how much you can extrapolate from one company's spend to another on the macro. You can, like, the easiest jump to make is to say, well, the macro demand is not there and they're biting off more than they could chew from a build-up perspective. But I think that for Nebius, like, they're going about it in a very sustainable way because they have so much forward visibility on that guidance. And I need to take a nap because I've been on 24 hours worth of flights. But right after, when I wake up, I want to make a Nebius video and cover the Morgan Stanley piece, because at the Morgan Stanley piece, they were talking about how they're getting 100% of the payment up front.
Which is crazy.
Like, what? If I sell this laptop and you pay me for the full value of the laptop and you're going to get the laptop 12 months from now, think, imagine the leverage that I have, or how badly you must need that laptop to be like, please don't give it to anybody else. Like, here's the money today. Give it to me when you give it to me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's different. Like, that's a different profile, especially when you layer in the subsidiaries, that they can just turn around and sell ClickHouse and just have an extra $5+ billion in the bank. That really puts their CapEx ambitions, it grounds them. And so I don't think we should be comparing them on a head-to-head basis with like what CoreWeave is doing or how CoreWeave is financing, or, you know, what Oracle is doing and how Oracle is financing and all of these other things, because it's like they're their own company. And we have to trust that management sees a little bit further out than we do on what the demand looks like for their products.
Yeah. So circling back lastly, yeah, I agree with your thoughts there on Nebius for sure. And it's a volatile name that's been range bound for a while. It may be for a while too, especially as there's weaker partners and players like Oracle that are in the space that just try to do too much too soon, pulling back. For Oracle, I don't like, there's people out there that are like, this is really bullish Oracle. It's them admitting, if these rumors are indeed true, that they try to get way ahead of themselves and that they are not in a position as a business to be able to fund that. So it's just showcasing Oracle's weakness. I don't think that they're a bad company by any means. In fact, they were one of my picks when we did that stock draft thing, which I'm probably still dead last. Regardless, I don't follow them like too closely, except just to see where they overlap in this space. So I don't have any specific thoughts as far as like revenue, EPS, stock price reaction or anything. I thought it was weird that they were kind of flat on the day and NVIDIA was down 3%. I felt like they should have been both down.
Wow.
There I am, killing it. Literally killing it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's not my investment portfolio.
portfolio. Yeah. Hey man, but Gemini up 3% or 9%.
Yeah.
Chris, wow.
Yeah.
Nvidia new hood trade desk. Okay, can we talk about
Oh, yeah.
this insider
Dude.
purchase? Because I thought that was really brilliant.
Yeah. CEO Jeff Green comes out.
Yeah,
He sold, like a lot of insiders will do when the trade desk was trading significantly higher. This
there
is
you
a
go.
name that's, of course, in the advertising space. It always in the past traded at a ridiculous premium. There we go. Yeah, Shay had a really good post on this. But ended up buying 148 million. And so I was there with, I think around the time that it dropped with Evan, with Amit as well. And I was like, is that a typo? Like, it usually, like, big insider buys are like 1 million, 5 million, maybe 10 million.
Yep,
$148 million at 25 bucks is
yep.
crazy. So yeah, that's confidence. The trade desk, I saw it earlier, it was up a little bit today. Let's see, but it's up.
And that's the first insider buy in nearly 4 years.
Yeah,
Craziness. But the fact that this guy is literally just printing money, like he sold it all at 120 and he bought it all back at 25
yeah.
and just booked the rest of the gains.
Yeah, and some people had asked me too, like, would I be interested in it? In the past, I was interested in the trade desk, but that's before like a lot of the agentic shift, which I think is changing the way the advertising structure for a lot of companies, including the trade desk. And there's a lot more competitors out there. Like, I'd rather invest in AppLovin and then probably Zeta after that, but pretty close before the trade desk. But yeah, that's a big sign of confidence by the CEO. That there's only one reason to buy.
I mean, not if you're, whatever Peanut guy or whatever his name was.
Yes, that guy.
Yeah. Uh, that's
Yeah,
must be
Matthew Johnson just asked, how does a guy have 145 million? It's because he sold 168 million worth like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So, and that's
crazy.
that's also one of the reasons why too. Like, at some point, Node is going to sell stock, right? SoFi is not going to be trading at this range forever. It's going to go up. And when it sells, there's always people with insider sells that are like, it's so bearish, it's so terrible. It's like, there's a lot of reasons to sell. He's taken his own money beyond what he gets for PSUs and as a CEO, and is investing that in the company. We shouldn't begrudge these guys who get most of their compensation from the stock price. So their interests are aligned with ours, of taking gains. And one of the things that also, it's not the reason, I think the primary reason why even most sell, but this gives them future ammo. So, like, imagine if Noto, like, if SoFi goes up to $50 a share over the next year and a half, 2 years, he sells, 10, $20 million worth, $30 million worth. I mean, there will be a lot of people screaming and saying SoFi is going to zero or whatever. But the reality is, like, it gives him a lot of capital that if the stock price falls substantially, now you have to wait, I believe, 6 months between selling and buying. Double check me on that. But there is a waiting period. But yeah, if the stock price falls enough, like, he would definitely just re-up that, reload.
Yeah, he hasn't sold any shares. But the conversation is like, okay, well, what happens when SoFi goes to $50 or $60? He could feasibly start selling. I mean, he doesn't really need the money, but I get it. It's more of a possibility then than now. Who is buying SpaceX in June? I mean, if my portfolio keeps looking the way it does, not me.
I have no money right now anyway, but beyond what's invested, I don't want to sell anything for that. It's kind of like RVI, Robinhood's venture fund thing. People were asking me, like, are you buying it? I'm like, I don't have money. And private capital, private companies are kind of bubbly. So why would I buy that?
KDog says AI took Tevis's jobs. His parents are not even in the country. He's on his friend's couch. I'm flattered that you assume that I have friends. KDog. Superstar says, well, I use Gemini Pro and Claude Pro. I use them to double check each other's work. Works freaking great. Yeah, you can also do that with Cursor. Yeah, Tevis looks right. Tevis got off of 24 hours worth of flights, guys. And I'm here, and I still haven't said no to Steve for his for the podcast at 9 p.m. because it's going to be 11 p.m. my time. So if I can get some sleep between now and then, I'll do it.
All right.
If not, then I won't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. Wonder if they didn't add SoFi due to dilution fears. How many S&P 500 would have to dilute for cap? No, I don't think that's a big factor at all. I think honestly, it was a sector rotation, because if you look at what they added a whole bunch of like information technology, and they didn't really add any financials or many financials, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. There's always, whenever a company doesn't get in, people put out things like this. The reason why we know this is not the case, there's a company that had, especially when they were inducted, had a meaningfully higher amount of stock-based compensation. Little known company of Palantir. Still fairly high SBC, even though as a percentage of revenue, it's decreasing quite a bit. And over the last year, it's fallen still high, but within the SaaS sector into norms. So yeah, not really an issue. Being barely profitable, like somebody had mentioned before, Light got in, and they have 170 price to earnings. Not an issue. A lot of these companies as well that got in are barely eligible in terms of their market cap.
But like
their own methodology. So
look at this though. Like it does look like a rotation, because like addition, all information technology, 3 deletions, 3 financials. Addition, information technology. Like it just, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a conspiracy theorist, but it does look like they just rebalanced a little bit from a sector perspective.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know what the market cap requirements are for the S&P 500, but I know that for all those financial companies, they've been going down or flat versus like Micron obviously deserves to be in. So yeah. And that's a much tighter list than the S&P 500, which honestly, the S&P 500 has a lot of dogs in it. So,
yep. I mean, you can't have 500 companies that are all fantastic. Roy, when do we FOMO back into PayPal?
You can anytime. I know it's weird because I was in PayPal, but I am a growth investor. And the thesis for me was basically what Alex Chris said, that this was a not a value company, but a growth company. And if there was a real meaningful opportunity for growth, the only way that I'd actually go back in is not based on it being undervalued or buybacks or buyout rumors or whatever. I've swung trade based on those sort of things before, but like a long-term hold, it's about growth, growth acceleration, growth resumption, the market just getting it wrong. And so like, I guess I can't say never. Like advertising should frankly be a layup for PayPal. They barely ever talk about it. They bury Mark Grather, but if that like is just doing ridiculous things and they're trading where they're at or like going down even more, and it looks like that's going to be substantial enough to even do on the order of what Uber was able to do, which is, they hit $1 billion annual run rate, really not too far away from where I think PayPal would have 2 or maybe 3 more quarters based on the timing of things. I'm not saying PayPal's headed there, but if that was the case, it's like, okay, that's high margin money. Like $1 billion for PayPal for the revenue that they have is not like super exciting, but $1 billion very high margin revenue is. So, but yeah, I kind of doubt that I think that they'll do well, but maybe not as well as I was expecting, especially with Alex there. We'll see. Maybe agentic commerce too. Like if Alex built a lot of good things there at PayPal, which took too long, and there was problems with his execution, but a lot of it was just PayPal. If agentic commerce does end up being much sooner than a lot of people were expecting, and I think it is maybe a little bit sooner than I was thinking, they're pretty well positioned. I'll give them another look, but probably would never be a shareholder again. We'll see.
I think that's fair. I think you gave them a lot of time.
Yeah.
What are your favorite cyber plays, take into account Iran being a top worldwide threat in cyber? I mean, I don't know that I would jump into cyber just for that reason alone. But I mean, we do have cybersecurity plays that we've been wanting to get into, but neither of us have for a while now.
Cloudflare, man. It trades at such a premium. It would have to come down a good bit. And again, I don't have money, so I'd have to sell something else that I'm already bullish on,
Yeah, I
which I
mean,
would for Cloudflare. Cloudflare actually is the only company that's on my watch list, and that wasn't the case like even just 2 weeks ago. That I'm like, oh man, I'd love to get in this company. It's not the right time, not the right valuation.
yeah,
I've made a couple of new positions. Nebius was one of those. Figure very recently was one of those. VG was one of those as well. And Cloudflare is the only one that's left, but it's too high for me. CrowdStrike, my understanding is not deep enough, but I know it's a high quality name there. And Rubrik, I'd have to refresh when I was learning about Rubrik like a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's been too long. I like that one. That one's been smashed to bits. So it's more interesting in terms of valuation, but I prefer quality over valuation. And so I'll probably just continue to wait on the other side, and maybe the market gives us a gift. It did with some of these other names. So, yeah, Bluebird says Cloudflare is one of my weekly DCAs. Like, dude, extreme valuation, but if you're a long-term investor, if you have a company like that, like extremely deep moat, Matthew Prince, as CEO, is just incredible. They're well positioned for what's happening with AI. They're well positioned what's happening with stablecoin, even with data scraping, with just a lot of different stuff. The internet is not going away, and like 20% of the internet's traffic flows through them. Very deep mode, and that's why one of the reasons why they trade at such a high valuation. So I don't think that's terrible at all.
yeah. I mean, and if you hear him talk, I mean, he's definitely a very sharp guy, Matthew Prince.
I love Matthew Prince. Like, yeah.
Okay. And just to answer this real quick, yes, to confirm, SoFi did not get included into the index earlier tonight. 4 stocks got included, and SoFi was none of those 4 stocks.
Yeah.
What happens if Clarity Act is delayed further? I mean, crypto keeps going down.
Yeah, we talked about that for about 15 minutes too at the 25-minute mark. If you want to rewind a little bit, implications and also possible hedges. So I should do a separate video on that, I think. Let me write that down in my idea book. Not anytime soon. Dissertation beginning Thursday. Pardon?
I love that you have an idea book.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's a Palantir journal.
What do you think about new and other banks stealing SoFi's brand marketing playbook with the soccer field? I didn't hear about the soccer field that new. I know Revolut is also doing their bank license as well. What's his face? Scott Henderson posted about that too, which was interesting. But yeah, man, more competition. Right? Coinbase is getting into stock trading, new entering the States at some point. Like,
yes, so new not so much. I'm a new investor. I actually did sell a little bit of new this week. My only move, other than like doing the covered call stuff, was selling a little bit of new, which I hated to do, but I had to buy more figure, and I'm like, I gotta pull it from the fintech bucket. I can't do it, and I'm not gonna do it from SoFi here. So hated to do it, but I don't want to expand that bucket. I just wanted to shift some money over. But Nubank is a really well positioned bank for the long term. It's one of those where I can just forget that it exists, not pay attention to any news, and I know like over time, Nubank is going to do well. There'll be ups and downs in the road, but it's a premium company. Revolut is kind of as well, but this was one of the things that people were also talking about, the Robinhood thing. And somebody that's pretty prominent in the space was very skeptical of not Revolut, but of them actually competing directly with the banking product. Now we'll have to see what it actually looks like. Applying for a license doesn't mean that they're going to go after like exactly the same thing with everything, but it sounds like Revolut may not be sending their best. And the United States is a much harder banking market to compete in than frankly where they've been. So I wouldn't bet against them as far as like it's not going to work at all. Like obviously another one, by the way, which some of these people were talking about was Mr. Beast and that financial play too. So A lot of people skeptical on that are not like old line bank analysts or anything like that, but there were some really interesting thoughts there. So, but yeah, it's a very common thing with any financial institution to try to gain that. Oh, help me out with what it's called, audience, market recognition, something like that. Because a big thing with
brand awareness.
Brand awareness, that's it. It's so important in the space because if you've never heard of a company, why would you put your money there? They need to have a pristine reputation, and you also have to be aware that they exist and know that they're a thing. And that's why they do this sort of marketing. It's not a waste at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Just rewind. You'll find the list of 4 stocks that got in.
Yeah, in the first 25 minutes.
Yeah. It's here, I'll just freaking show it to you because you guys are freaking lazy. Here you go. You have Vertiv, Lumentum, LITE ticker, Coherent, and EchoStar, SATS ticker. Removed Match, Molina, LW's Lam, Weston Holdings, and Paycom.
Yep.
Okay. Next question. Is it better for them to get in at 30 than at 18? Doesn't really matter, man. It's going to force a whole bunch of buying pressure. I think whether the buying pressure comes at it, like, yes, it is better at 30 because you're operating off of higher numbers, but like, I don't think beggars can be choosers. It's better at 30. Like, the real answer is better at 30 because like you're well into the market cap requirement.
Yeah. Long term, it doesn't really matter, but yeah, it's kind of better. Like, that was a silver lining of Robinhood not getting in until a little bit later. Like, institutions were being forced to buy at like 90, 100, whatever it was, instead of like 40. Same with Palantir. So. Yeah, they'll get in at some point.
Has anybody done a wellness check on Tanner? He doesn't get Bluetooth in the sauna, man. He can't. Yeah. He's not watching this right now. Can you show the last 12-month earnings for the companies that got in instead of SoFi? Andrew is confused as to how they're picking companies that are barely or flat out did not meet the requirements. Is the S&P committee full of meme stocks?
Definitely not meme stocks. No. There's 2 things going on with the SP500. One is they don't want everything all in one sector, and they did add a lot of financial companies recently. So it's not too much of a surprise that they're taking a pause. Now they've been expanding both tech and also financials by quite a bit, but the other is they're not really clear as far as the methodology or why they'll induct companies. They are on the minimum requirements to get in and what companies are not allowed in. So there's always some surprises. It's one of those things, like some random name that you've never heard of will almost always get in every single quarter. And it's just annoying when it's your company and you're like, there's so much more worthy. Like I had this moment with Williams Sonoma, which is not a bad business. It's not a terrible company. It's like, it's barely eligible. And like the stock, I think, is actually up pretty nicely. But when that got in instead of Palantir, I'm like, come on, dude. Like you're going after like fancy coffee maker instead of like this deep moated AI company. And same thing with SoFi. Like, yeah, SoFi probably has a better case than a lot of these companies, but they may be looking at other sectors, and there's other reasons that we don't know. And it could even just be like favoritism.
Yeah.
We don't even know like who is picking on the committee. So
yeah, I mean, that's an issue onto itself. And like, it's interesting the variance that we get, right? Because like last quarter, MicroStrategy was one of the favorite contenders to get in, and this time they had a 1% chance on Polymarket of getting in. Like, they're absolutely not, because of the space they play in with regards to crypto.
Yeah.
If SoFi didn't get in, when's the next chance? June, most likely.
Yeah. The exception is when a company is exits because it's no longer public. It's acquired. They went private, whatever. They went bankrupt. Then they will not wait, but they'll add a company. doesn't even have to be in the same sector. It often is, but that's how Coinbase got in last year.
Is the point of the S&P to trade current events or compile the top 500 companies in America? I mean, like, on paper versus in reality, like, it's just a group of dudes that make a decision on what they want to put a whole bunch of passive income towards. Like, what do they want to add to the basket? At the end of the day, like, it can be the most altruistic, pure intentions, blah blah, but it's just a group of freaking dudes. Like, people are corruptible. Um, if you take it on that nefarious side, but like, even, aside from that, people are influenceable. Let's say. When Nebius sells ClickHouse, do you think they keep some of that money in a venture arm or just put it all into data center? They'll do whatever has the highest ROI for them. My guess would be just put in data centers, because that would have the shortest return on investment, like the shortest, for sure, high confidence return on investment, not a moonshot, right? So I would probably guess that the only reason they would sell ClickHouse is to fund the data center, because ClickHouse is a very valuable asset that I don't think would want to sell unless they needed to have something with higher ROI on the horizon. And I don't think moonshots or venture studios projects fit that criteria. If you guys won the lottery, would you still work? As also, how much of your winnings are you adding to your portfolio? Do you get someone else to manage your portfolio?
Yeah, you can go first.
I would still probably do some form of content. Definitely not my main job. I would put the vast majority of the winnings. I don't even know what the lottery amount is. Like 100. Like, I would put the vast majority. I think I can live on a fairly relatively modest sum of the winnings, and I probably wouldn't get somebody else to manage my portfolio, but I would just probably put the winnings in like a big ETF or index or something.
Yeah, I don't play the lottery, but like if there's some windfall like that where like I'm set for life for whatever reason, I would still work. Like if it happened today, I would still continue to work. Nothing really would change. I'd still defend the dissertation, still live where I live. I like where I'm in life, and I wouldn't let money necessarily change that. The one thing is, I mean, it would change some things to our family, but like the biggest thing is maybe 3 or 4 years out, where the organization that I'm with is in the place where it really needs to be. I might look at a smaller role there, less intense role. I think what I do is very valuable, and yes, I do it for an income, but it's if I ever do share like what space I'm in, it's not like I'm. They treat me well, but it's not a space where you're in it for the money. Like if you are, you're in it for the wrong reason, because there's a lot of better opportunities out there. And my wife is sometimes mad at me because she's like, "You can go and do this and work for these people." I'm like, "Yeah, but what I'm doing here is really important." So anyway, I'd probably slow down as far as the amount of work that I'm doing. A few years out, I would still want to be working because the space that I'm in, I think, is really valuable for humanity and society. But and also like just like having that purpose, and but probably wouldn't be working 40 hours a week, maybe 20. And as far as portfolio stuff, a lot of it would just go into like S&P 500 broad indices. I would still do some individual investing, and I do this as a hobby, so I'd still do it, I think.
Yeah. Do you guys hedge at all, or did you rotate buy into anything? Did you not make money today, LMT or anything?
Yeah, I was down today, and it faded pretty badly at the end. Let's see what happened. But I found myself, I have hedged in the past. Sometimes I'll do that through puts that are just naked puts. Sometimes I'll sell covered calls, which is not the best hedge, but it is kind of a hedge. Sometimes cash can be a hedge. This time, like with what's happening in Iran, I found myself unintentionally hedged with two different positions, which are about probably 12 or 13% of my portfolio right now. VG is one that's up from when I bought. It's not quite a double, but it's pretty close. It's one that I wanted to be in long term anyway. And the thesis was not war with Iran. but they do benefit from it. And of course, like chaos, like the Russian LNG tanker, I think 2 days ago, getting hit and struck in the Mediterranean outside of Malta by the Ukrainians. So that was a hedge for sure, and it's a volatile one. And I have not taken any gains on that yet. And I was telling Amit yesterday, I'm like, I'm good at hedging, but I'm terrible at like figuring out when to get out of part of that hedge. So I'll have to think that through with VG, especially if the chaos continues longer. Like if VG spikes to $20, I need to take some gains at that point, especially because I have some options. But Palantir is the other one. Palantir has such a ridiculous deep moat that if the world is stable and great, cool. I mean, commercial is growing like almost 100% US commercial, around 100% year over year. It's going to do great. When chaos hits, like the government side, which is about half the business, it thrives. So it's like, yeah, they're unintentional hedges there. It was up at 1.5% today. Palantir, I think it was still up today too, but they've been helping my portfolio a bit. But yeah, no, because I'm unintentionally hedged, I'm like, no need to change those. I'll just stick with them as I got. I did add some Palantir a few weeks ago, like in the 130s. So I think it was 130s. Yeah. What about for you? Any hedging?
No hedging. For me, there's nothing that I'm doing differently. I'm just selling, calls, selling puts, and just still doing my own thing. Do you still think BMNR is better by the MicroStrategy despite how STRC, their dividend stock, is trading? Curious to hear your thoughts. I mean, BitMine has a built-in dividend in the form of staking, so it has a cash flow advantage, let's say, that it doesn't have to manufacture by doing some like fancy stuff. Like it's just built into it's baked into the cake, so to speak. So that's the reason I like it over MicroStrategy. And I think Ethereum has way more utility, like from a smart contract platform, than Bitcoin ever would. And so, from an adoption perspective, like there's going to be real use cases for Ethereum, which should support even BMNR going up higher than MicroStrategy slash Bitcoin.
Yeah, agree.
What is the stock that you've been following? Have nothing in, but if everything hits the fan, you'd like to start a position in?
Cloudflare, NET ticker.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I would have to look at
Palantir. Say Palantir.
Yeah, Palantir, sure.
There you go. I mean, like if everything hits a fan, even Palantir, which has a deep moat, like it's trades at a pretty high valuation, like really high. If Palantir goes to like the 50s or something, you're going to want in, buddy. I'm going to be pounding the table and saying, Tevis, quit messing around, get in.
Yeah. Oil prices will go down after the war. How to play this? I mean,
I'm not. There are people that, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. And I would just go on X and see what other people are thinking. There's a lot in my feed of people that are talking about this. But I mean, like even futures you can mess around with, but you do puts, you can go after an index, you can short companies, a lot of different ways. I'm not. I'm just going to stick with using VG as a hedge, and long term, I think they're a great company, so I'll just hold them. But the war can last a long time too. Like that's the risk. It may not be the 44 weeks or whatever.
Did you like model it out until the end of September? And like, dude, I don't need this in my life right now. Like just end the whole thing, announce some deal with Nebius, and let me be happy. All right. Yeah. Tevis, since you're on 24 hours to travel, what do you normally do on a plane? Sleep, not sleep. Movies, shows predominantly, sometimes read a book. This particular trip, I was like on Claude Code the entire freaking trip, just adding little things here and there. So, yeah. Q1 earnings will be out by next S&P rebalance, might help, maybe, but I don't think we're going to have the same market cap issue for June, because it gives us plenty of time to sort of catch our breath and stabilize in the low 20s or higher. Obviously, depends on the macro, but I don't know, man. I'm forever an optimist, let's say.
Yes. This is one that
I don't read these before I throw them up on screen. I should.
Yeah. So, no, I think this will be maybe the last question or last thing that we look at. I did see a couple of people mention this. So, Chamath, always interesting. So he came out basically as an apologetic, not an apology, of social capital specifically, things that went wrong. A lot of people pushing back. I'm not going to read that. And the funniest thing was the pushback here. And there's a lot in the comments. Like, there's a lot of people that do not like Chamath, and I'm kind of one of them. I like parts of him, and he is entertaining, and not everything he's doing is scammy or anything. But yeah, I see why people are pushing back here, and I kind of agree with them. How about all the scams? Well, not scams. Through your SPACs, you never came clean about it. Millions of customers lost money. And then he said, oh, it was deleted. Somebody very particular was like, hey, I lost a bunch of money on this. And Chamath's like, well, you generated capital losses. Did you use those yet? Dude, like, what? The goal of investing is not to generate capital losses and harvest those losses. It's so tone deaf. Like, oh, man.
Tone deaf sometimes.
And actually, speaking of, one more thing. You saw the McDonald's CEO thing?
Yeah, and the Burger King and the Wendy's and all the other ones.
So, I mean, like, yeah, a lot of stuff since then too. But yeah, let me just, in case somebody is living in a cave, they've not seen this yet. Oh, that's the end. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so they came out with a new burger.
You've heard about it. Here it is, the Big Arch. This is something that we have tested already. It's in Portugal, Germany, Canada. I love this product. It is so good. I'm going to do a taste.
Normal people refer to burgers as product.
Tasting right now, but I'm going to eat this for my lunch, just so you know. So here we go.
Normal people also point to the food right in front of them and say they're going to eat it for their lunch. Really, guys?
First, holy cow. God, that is a big burger. We've got a very unique kind of sesame poppy sort of bun on it. We've got
the Big Mac before?
quarter-pound patties, a delicious Big Arch sauce,
I haven't tried
and of course some lettuce. So, there's so much going on with this. First of all, let's try to get this thing. I don't even know how to attack it. Got so much to it.
It's such a mess. And you know that this is like really delicately made too. Like,
oh, there's also some crispy onions on here as well. I see those kind of coming out. All right, the moment of truth.
Oh, man.
That is so good. That's a big bite for a Big Arch.
Look at that giant bite.
He's pretty sure he's vegan. That would suck. Imagine if you're vegan as a CEO and be like, nah, man, you got to do this PR. You got to eat the burger.
So like the last little thing, you know, this was just a funny moment, and, you know, it created a lot of viral marketing opportunities for a lot of people and companies. But there are a lot of CEOs and a lot of very wealthy people that are so far removed, like Chamath, like the McDonald's CEO, that they're tone deaf, that they don't understand like real life and real struggles of real people. And I hope I never lose that. But that's one of the reasons why, like with certain CEOs, like Vlad Tenev, CEO of Robinhood, like the dude is a billionaire. And, you know, I know most people won't get a chance to ever like know him or talk to him, like, but he's a real regular person. Like, he brought his family to this event. Niall, I think 6-year-old, his son was up on stage. And actually, I don't know if you saw that, Tevis. They did this custodial account thing where they're like, okay, now you have family accounts, custodial accounts. Family accounts will be added soon. and you can send gifts if you want, if you have family members that do that. And so they had Abhishek, who's like the right-hand guy of Vlad there, send a gift to Niall, $250 a Tesla. And Niall went up on stage, and he's like a 6-year-old, so unscripted. That part. Well, everything else is pretty scripted. They do add some things here and there, but his dad Vlad asked him, "Is like, well, what did you think about that?" And he's like, "Well, I like Google better." And it's like, it's just so funny. But yeah, like I think with Vlad, and I think with some other CEOs too, like if you start off poor, or if you come over like his parents came over to the United States from Bulgaria, and you grew up very poor and did not have it all together, like you appreciate it more. You're more of a regular dude. Like literally got to talk to him a little bit about like video games and stuff. Just like he's just a regular dude that happened to like more than a regular dude. Like he's polymath and everything, but no, I don't know him personally. I've never met him or talked to him. You guys have had a chance to interview him. Like, does he just strike you as like he's just a dude? Like he's not like the weird Chamath, the weird McDonald's CEO type of guy.
No, he's not autistic. If that's what he's not like socially awkward and incapable of actually being in a social environment. Like he's like the rigidity from Noto comes from him being scripted sometimes because he knows he's always like on as a public CEO. But I feel like if you take him for a couple of Guinnesses, like I feel like he would loosen up real quick. We could talk sports, and he would be a good like drinking buddy, But
Yeah, he
you
loves
never get to
football.
see that side because, like, obviously, whatever you see, everybody else, like analysts and whatnot, see, right?
Yeah. In like Bob, I think nailed it. And like in Noto's thing, like going back to the very beginning of this, I think he talked about growing up in blue collar roots and everything. So. Yeah, well, Robinhood's not a sponsor. I like full disclosure, like I have to pay my way to everything. I did get a t-shirt. So yeah, it's flagrantly green. if I go hunting again, and I haven't hunted in a long time, I can wear that and be very safe. I'll just say that. It's loud. Blue colored, right?
There was somebody else that said something.
I sound a little bit mad. I didn't get. I got a t-shirt last time. I didn't get a t-shirt.
Got to that point of the podcast where people are asking, "Did SoFi get in?" So many times that people are just responding now. Yeah, they got in.
That's hilarious. They did not get in, guys. So next time, unless some of these might be time travelers, so you never know. They could be like, yeah, they got in. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right. I think that's the questions. I don't know. Go ahead, Roy.
Yeah, long CEOs that come from blue collar or humble roots.
Are you guys going to be at the Chicago meetup? I don't know when that is.
I don't know anything about the Chicago meetup, but no. I know that Amit is doing one in LA, and it sounds like he's doing one in Austin, in Texas, late this year. The Austin one I'll be at. I mean, he's not going to do it on Thanksgiving, as long as it's not on Thanksgiving. So
we can grab some Franklins. Be a great time.
Yeah.
Chicago, I don't know. I was there. Deep dish pizza, amazing. Chicago these days, maybe with a side of drive-by, but Nate is in Chicago, so we can go visit Nate.
Yeah.
Are we expecting a dip on Monday? Yes.
We'll see. Market is. We had 2 red days in a row, probably green on Monday, but I mean, it just depends what happens on this weekend.
Okay, so it's currently 8:30 for me. The next pod would be at 11 my time.
Get a nap.
If I do wake up in 3 hours, then I'll do it with you guys. If I don't wake up in 3 hours and I just like wake up and it's like 7 a.m. the next day, then hope it goes well for you guys. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching Ron and Travis Fiesta Fridays. We'll see you next Tuesday for the Bootleg Weekly. And that's it. Enjoy your weekends. Try to touch some grass. It's fine that your stock went down. And
since it's Fiesta Fridays, the sign off should be adios, hasta luego, y Dios te bendiga.
yes, and God bless you too. Goodbye.
Use